So my name is Alfredo Garcia. I'm an adjunct faculty at FIU, and I teach in the Honors College at the moment, and I've taught previously in the Religion Department and in the Department of Sociology.
So you saw I Am Not Your Negro, the recent documentary about James Baldwin, and I wanted to ask you some questions about it. So at the beginning, when Baldwin's readings are starting to be played, they show scenes from Ferguson, even though Baldwin was writing in the 60s, so the clear implication seemed that Baldwin was still in some ways relevant, and his writings about civil rights were in some ways relevant to what's happening today with police brutality and other things. So I wanted you to give me your take on Baldwin's persistence in
It's interesting because
discourse.
on some level, I feel as though he is relevant, and then on many other levels, I feel like if he was alive today, he would be the most irrelevant person out there. I mean, I marveled at the fact that there was the footage of him on like late night TV, an artist, a writer, and I think about today, like, would that even be the case? I mean, do people even read like they used to read? No, they don't read like they used to read. So in many ways, he probably wouldn't be as relevant in a movement that is so trigger happy like that it is today. And not just Black Lives Matter, everybody's trigger happy today. I think he was this, just a contemplative, discursive, I mean, as an artist, he just really relished in dwelling into the material, and I don't think people like that would make it in today's world. Now, to your question about the link between Black Lives Matters and the images from the 1960s, what he talked about or what he wrote about is definitely still relevant, and that's the goal of the documentary, in my opinion, is to say so much has changed, but so much has remained the same. It's sad to see that his words would echo today, and that's the point. That's what they're trying to get across. And although it might seem unfair, I think it's totally apropos. That is the message of the documentary, and so to get it across aesthetically, you would want to show images from Black Lives Matter today, juxtaposed with the stuff from the 1960s.
So his style wouldn't be fitted for today, but his substance to some extent would.
Yeah, but even then, I was watching the documentary, and where was I? I was in O Cinema, which has maybe 75 people can fit in it. It's a small boutique indie theater. Even the woman who was taking my ticket didn't know who James Baldwin was. A lot of people don't know who James Baldwin is, right? And
He's not famous.
he's not famous. And the thing is that even at his time, he was famous, but he was a different kind of famous. And I was astonished because I asked her when I saw the poster for the first time. I said, "Is that the James Baldwin?" And she goes, "Who?" And I was like, "Okay, no, we're not having this conversation." I mean, he wouldn't be relevant. How do I put it? His words would be relevant; they just would not resound. That's it. It's just he says stuff that is relevant, but it would fall on deaf ears because I don't think people can digest what it is he's talking about. Even the movie itself is for a particular niche community that might be more highly educated, more liberal, more urban dwelling, and it's a self-perpetuating machine. It's an echo chamber of sorts. So yeah, he wouldn't. I don't think he would survive in today's world. His type of rhetoric, his type of writing, his type of message. Yeah.
What do you think about his take on black identity, which is going back to the difference between the 60s and today? He seemed to not be as assertive with his blackness in the way that, for example, Black Lives Matter is today and Malcolm X was back then. So how do you think he would fit into American society with his view on that?
Today?
Yes, as opposed to back then, if you want to.
The thing is that he was always an in-between person. And whenever you live in that constant liminal state, you never feel comfortable picking a side. Right? Not only as an artist and as a writer, but as a black man, as a gay man, he constantly was walking these lines that were always in between. And so I don't think he felt comfortable then, and today would probably still feel uncomfortable picking a side. And that was one of the things that people really criticized him about. during the civil rights movement, because it seemed like everybody was like, okay, if you're gonna do the Christian thing, it's like you've got Martin Luther King. If you're gonna do the Muslim thing, then you've got Malcolm X. If you're gonna do the violence thing, then you've got the Black Panthers. But today it's not like that, and so it's a little more amorphous, which would be good for him. I think the fact that he's in that interstitial place. But even then, today we're still always asking for people to pick sides. So is it Blue Lives Matters, All Lives Matters, or Black Lives Matters? Pick one. He would hate that. He would hate that. And the substance of Baldwin would probably be the kind that would say, when you say Black Lives Matter, you are meaning all lives matters, right? There's an argument out there that talks about that. He would be the kind of person who would say that, but if you notice, that argument doesn't resound, right? Rarely resounds. It takes a lot of legwork to ever get to the point that people are gonna jive with that. So he would probably encounter a lot of the same issues that he had back then, because he thrives in the interstitial space, because he's so contemplative, and he wants to expose without dividing. Today it's just exacerbated the same issues that he faced back then. It's like pick a side, and pick a side before your next tweet, essentially. Because if not, somebody else is going to just trounce on you and take over from the media of sorts.